Hi, welcome. So it's been a while since my last video, and today I'm going to talk about my updated or new um, deck list for the OP02 Crocodile. Um, First things first, this time it's going to be vastly different. I have tried super hard to make the Impel Down engine work. We've got so many cool Impel Down cards. I really love them. I love them so much actually that even though it didn't work with Crocodile because it's just too slow, I ended up with a Magellan deck that I love playing even more than the Crocodile deck, which is really sad because I'm such a big fan of Crocodile, but in the current set, he's just so bad. He's so bad. I think he's one of the worst leaders. I think even King could be better potentially because Crocodile is just so slow. And the problem isn't even Crocodile himself. The problem is the meta. Basically, Whitebeard and Zoro because they are so prevalent. They are so oppressive. They force you to play their game, and Crocodile is just too slow. Like his early game is just so whack. If you build around playing against Zoro, you will like not really have anything against any other deck. And if you build around Whitebeard, Zoro will just run you down. And since you play like the most played decks are Whitebeard and Zoro, so you will have to you need a deck that can beat both, and that's where Magellan comes in because Magellan can do it. Crocodile has a really hard time though. But nonetheless, I came up with one deck that sees relative success simply because it basically imitates Zoro instead of trying to be Crocodile, which is sad, but I mean it works, so it's okay, right? We just try to make it work. Um, so let's just go straight into it. I mean, here's my deck list. Da, da, da. Right, camera set. So first things first, we got the Crocodile leader still. Um, if you attach a Dawn and you play an event, you get to draw a card once per turn, be it your turn or your opponent's turn. The interesting thing with that is that every single event that you can play is a defensive event. You have Love Mellows, you have Overheat, whatever. This is Sparta, like those things that give you 2000 counter and play something. You've got a few niche spells that do something proactive that are useless, like the Baroque Works thing where you can play a Baroque Works card. Um, Pretty bad. But you also got this bad boy, the Artificial Devil Fruit from the set 1, which allows you to look at the top 5 cards from your deck and play a Smile unit with a cost of 3 or less. So this thing for 2 mana or 3 if you attach a Dawn allows you to play a 3-drop and draw a card. That's pretty good. That's really pretty good. And it got a trigger that does the same. So that's where I started to focus on this time around in order to fill the board fast and attack with 5 as often as I possibly can. So I will show you how this exactly works. First, this is the 4 staple Small Devil Fruit. Like I said, you know what it does. Then we got 4 times Orochi. This dude is these 8 cards are basically the fundament of the deck. Orochi is a 1-drop, 2k, 2k counter. So later on, you can drop him for 2k counters, and early on you want to play him in order to draw one of these. His on-play effect is you can search your whole deck for one of these. That means let me just clarify what advantages you get from that. You get a 1-drop on the board, which is good against Zoro, for example, because it can start clearing the board. Then you get to look at your whole deck. It's not like top 5 cards. You can look through your whole deck. That means that you get the information, what is in your deck, what is not in your deck. In terms of what is in your deck, that means what triggers do I have in my deck? What triggers do I have in my life? Because every single card that you do not find in your deck, you obviously have in your life or in your hand. So if I see I only have 2 Devil Fruits in my deck that I can choose from, I know that the other 2 have to be in my life. And that means I can play around that, you know? You can take life because you know you're going to pull it from your life, activate the trigger, play a minion on board, and you get tempo instead of losing anything. So very, very, very strong. Also, like if you play other triggers like Deathwing or Overheat, you can know that these are in your life, or important cards like whatever might seem important to you. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So in these 4 cards, we already have intel, we have stuff to fill the board, we have a searcher, and a 2k counter. So that's already pretty good, considering we only have 4 cards, 8 cards up until now. So then we're starting with the new additions in the OP02 to the deck. We got Solitaire, a 3 mana Smile 5000 beater, and a Daifugo 3000 3 mana 5000 beater, basically the same. He has no counter, he has a 1k counter, but his effect is on play I can return to Dawn to the Dawn field and summon a 3-drop, her, for example, from the hand for free. Which basically means that this card gives you tempo in exchange for Dawn, which is basically like power in the next turn. But since we're only playing 3 drops, 2 drops, and 2 mana spells, events, having too many Dawn isn't like the key thing for us, right? We can give up a Dawn, we can give up 2 Dawn, it doesn't matter. So we are free to use that as soon as we hit like 5, 6, 7, 8 Dawn, whatever. We can use that that ability relatively freely. All right. Now we get to the 4Ks. Special place is Hold'em. Hold'em is a 3 mana 4000 that on KO gives you a Dawn back, which is pretty useful if you used Daifugo's ability and made minus Dawn, so that you're not falling too far behind. Other than that, like ramping is just always pretty good, right? Then we get this dude and Shepherd, just 2 mana 4000 vanillas. We if we play the artificial devil fruit and we see one of those, we take it. If we cannot take one of the 5Ks, like that's the whole game plan. If we keep them in hand, we can play them on turn 2 if we don't have anything else, or we just use them as 2k as 1k counters. All of those have a 1k counter. So that's all the Smile units that we have. So as you have seen, all of them are 2 or 3 with a 4 or 5k damage. And the goal is just to fill a board with these, get 5 on the board, and hit for 5 every single turn, so that the opponent has to react, because playing the reactive game, as we have seen with Zoro this meta, and Whitebeard, as soon as you're reacting and you're not playing proactive, you're losing. And that's the same here. Like, if we have 2 Shepherds and another 4k on the board, whatever, and we keep hitting with 5, 5, 5, 5, and leader 5, that means he has to take either 4 life, or he has to take 2 life, drop 2 cards, whatever. Like, every 5k attack is a 1 card that he might have to sacrifice. And like, if that happens every single turn, like, you just lose your resources because you have to react to it. And because you have to react to it, you have to clear it. Like, you have to waste attacks to clear this useless dude. And the funny thing is, since we're playing Crocodile, and Crocodile is still the most defensive deck in the game, we can even protect even our 4Ks relatively easily. We have 2 times Missile Sunday, simply because she works so well with Crocodile. Like, we can use her in order to get another artificial devil fruit from the graveyard, from the trash, back, or we can use it to get one of our spells back in order to protect our board. When we get to the defensive mechanic of the deck, we got Hell's Judgment 4 times. Simply because it's the best spell in the game and the best spell that purple has gotten. It's like 2 mana, -1 Dawn. We don't care about Dawn in this deck. And give 2 opponents, like leader or character, -3000. So that thing makes it so that 2 attacks fail from your opponent. That is a really, really, really strong card. Now we got Love Beam, pretty staple in every Crocodile deck. If you have 3 cards or less, you can draw a card. With Crocodile Leader, you can draw 2 cards. Plus 4000 defense, right? Super good. Now we got 2 times the new edition, the Gum Gum Rain. Just a pretty good card because it gives 3000 and you can trash whatever you feel like trashing. If you trash a 1k counter, it's still worth it because it's basically a 2k counter and you get to draw a card. And if you trash something that you can't play anyways, like a spell that you have brick or whatever, then it's just like freeing your hand up, right? So it's a pretty good card. Now we got 2 times the Brick Fist. That spell is in there to remove all those 4K blockers. Like, the game is swarmed with 4K blockers. Blue has so many 4K blockers. Black has the unremovable, unKOable 4K blockers in Borsalino. And red has 4K blockers in Marco and 4K beaters in Luffy and Frankie and the other dude, whatever his name is, from the Whitebeard Pirates. So having the ability for 2 mana to remove one of those, then go face with your board is just so good because it's so fast, because it's so cheap. And then we got 3 times Deathwing, simply because it refills our hand. Since we have every card has counter except for Daifugo, we can just drop them all off and then draw new cards. We can, if we have 2 Deathwings in hand, we can also remove one with the Gum Gum Rain in order to not break, because you don't want to see too many of them, but the trigger is too strong, right? If this is in your life, you can bounce a 7 cost or less. So basically everything. So if that is in your life, that feels so good. And I mean, you can check if it's in your life, right? Right from the get-go. You can check if this, or this is in your life. And all of them have a trigger. He reduces the Dawn by 1 if you want it from the enemy if he has 6 or more. This one can bounce a 2 cost unit. I think it's bounce, or is it KO? No, it's bounce. Bounce a 2-drop unit, which means you can counter the board from Zoro even harder than you already do. Brick Fist does the same as Brick Fist, unless it does its main ability. You can bounce a 4-drop. So really good cards, and you know if they're in your life or not, if you have a little experience with the deck. So, and now we still have 5 cards left. And here's where things get a little tricky. This deck is super strong and super fast against against everything. It works good against everything. Black can clear a lot, but he has to invest so many cards in order to clear the board. Like, Black has to play Kobe or Sakazuki in order, and then drop a card. That means 2 cards in order to clear 4,000 unit or a 5,000 unit. That's absolutely not worth it. Like, you lose so many cards because they already attack you, and then you have to drop even more in order to clear the board. So while it seems like the deck is bad against Black, it's actually not bad against Black. Zoro swarms the board with small stuff. You swarm the board with mid-range stuff, and he hits you, you clear his board, and he now has to play the reactive game, which is new to Zoro because Zoro is always the aggressive one. And suddenly he has to clear your board or he loses. Like that's the whole plan. And to further enhance that, I love to play 3 times Jack from the set 1 and 2 times X-Drake. X-Drake is a 2k counter and Jack is a 1k counter that is a 4k beater again, fits to the rest of the Jack. And on attack I can return a Dawn and the opponent has to trash a card. That means I give him a Dawn, I attack, and the opponent has to trash 1 card from his hand and 1 card more if he doesn't want to take the damage. Generally, Jack is pretty bad because like the opponent just drops a card, whatever, it doesn't matter. But since the opponent has to drop so many cards because you're playing so aggressively, having that 1 extra card hurts like hell. It's really ridiculous. This is the setup that I used to play in my locals and wherever I go with the deck, and it works really well. But if I go somewhere where people are a little more experienced and we have the stronger decks because people at my locals don't play Whitebeard, I would suggest removing those cards. Maybe, yeah, I mean, obviously we need 50 cards, so we can only remove 4, but removing them and instead putting in the king. Why? Simply, really, actually, just because he is the only efficient removal for the 4K Luffy, the 4K Frankie. Like, Whitebeard is so overpowered because he forces you to play his game, right? You can't just go 5-5-5 and swing at him every turn. You need to play around him having 6k and him actually wanting to take life because he doesn't give a fuck. So with Whitebeard, you have to try to boost all your minions to 6 and attack the Luffy so that he has to invest cards into protecting his board. And after you have done that, and after he has wasted his resources, you want to play a king and remove it anyways. And then you have a 7k beater on the board and have the board advantage. That's how you win against Whitebeard, right? The problem is it has no counter, so it sticks in your hand very often. And the problem is it is 6k, 6 cost. And because we want to go freely with our Dawn, hitting 6 is actually really, really stupid or difficult for us. So playing this setup actually prevents us from making use of Daifugo's -2 Dawn ability because we just need the Dawn in order to play on curve. It still works though. Like against Whitebeard, we just want to go second, and after he plays his Luffy, we play the king, and we just play stuff on board beforehand without using the minus Dawn abilities, and we just try to swarm the board, and as soon as he has something on the board that we can attack, we just try to swing for it and like gain card advantage in that, and then we just play it defensively. Like Hell's Judgment is so key against winning for winning against Whitebeard. Yeah. So if you're trying to win really hard, this one is the key. If you know your locals and people don't play like so much Whitebeard, then I think this combination is actually better because it fits the playstyle way more, and it's just like it's super efficient, it's super good. X-Drake can be played like if you are already winning and you don't need the 2k counter, like you can play him on 5 as well, just to remove a card from the enemy. Like it hurts, right? These cards are so good. So yeah, that's my Crocodile playlist. Decklist. Another key is in my first decklist, I try to play around vanillas and having them on the board and protecting them. Like this time is no different. My vanillas are just smaller, like 4Ks, but since every spell does like 4K counter anyways, we still protect them all the time. And the key thing is, I used to go second every single time, but now people have realized that going second is really strong, and everyone wants to go second except for Zoro, right? So you try to take second away from them especially Whitebeard, because you want to play king. Um, but it's no problem at all if you're going first, because you have a 1-drop and you have a lot of 3-drops. So going first is actually just fine with this deck, no problems. It might actually even be better because you get to use your hero ability a little easier, because you only want 4 cards in order to make use of the draw. So going first might even be preferred. And especially against Zoro, it's preferred because you can just start filling the board and you don't get that 3-turn attack straight into the face. So yeah, really good deck. It's very good. It's just not what I wanted or envisioned at all when I started playing. I really wanted to make Impel Down work, but it's not happening. Not this season, at least. Maybe if the meta slows down a little bit in OP03, which I don't know because I didn't like look at the cards yet. I don't know what we get. I don't know what events we get. But I'm really hoping that we can make it work. And if we can make it work in OP03, then we can definitely make it work in OP04, because we already know the Crocodile leader in OP04 is purple and yellow, which means purple will get some support, which means this Crocodile will get some support. So yeah, I'm very interested in seeing that and trying that out. But yeah, OP04 comes out in like September or something, so we still got half a year of aggro meta. Yeah, and we beat aggro by playing aggro. That's it. Thanks for watching the video. See you around, man. Guys, girls, people. Thanks for watching.